Artificial intelligence, AI, companions, example, social machine agents, social robots, are becoming increasingly available. Research demonstrates that AI's social presence and warmth can maximize benefits for lonely individuals. In this video, I will walk you through this intriguing human-to-machine communication. Coming up next on The Curious Tube.
For over a century, science fiction writers have explored the concept of artificial intelligence. As far back as 1872, an author by the name of Samuel Butler raised questions of conscious machines in his novel, Erewhon. Since then, our imaginations have evolved alongside our technological advancements. What if machines could feel empathy for us, care for us, or even fall in love with us? And more importantly, what if we grew to reciprocate those feelings? Of course, this was purely the stuff of science fiction, but as we firmly enter the 2020s, something interesting is beginning to happen. The ability of AI algorithms to mimic human relationships is getting close enough to approximating actual relationships, to some degree at least. This is colloquially called an AI companion. Let's explore the idea of AI companions, from its origins in media to the technology that actually exists today. It's an interesting concept, and this episode may make you just think a little bit. When the movie Her debuted in 2013, audiences were enamored by a story of a man recovering from heartbreak, finding love once again. But the twist was, this new love was an artificially intelligent operating system. In essence, it wanted audiences to question how they would respond to this future. Again, in 2013, the sci-fi anthology series Black Mirror released an episode titled Be Right Back. It tells the story of Martha, a woman who was devastated by the death of her fiancé in a car accident. Martha signs up for a service that digitally recreates loved ones in the form of AI. It takes its form based on social media communications. Interestingly, in 2021, Microsoft patented technology that would use social media posts to reincarnate people in text form. It would use personal conversations and posts made on social media for training data. It would learn how that person speaks and mimic hypothetical new conversations. The basic idea is that the AI would learn that personality and then clone it. Here's a quote via Forbes from the Microsoft patent. Quote, "The specific person who the chatbot represents may correspond to a past or present entity or version thereof, such as a friend, a relative, an acquaintance, a celebrity, a fictional character, a historical figure, a random entity, etc." In the Black Mirror episode, Martha begins to get frustrated by the small ways that the AI fails to replicate the real thing, and eventually it leads to a tragic end. The beauty of both Black Mirror and Her, much unlike films such as Blade Runner and AI for example, is the setting of a not too distant future. It's so close to reality that it behaves as its own unique uncanny valley, a sort of liminal space and time. In the case of artificially intelligent companions, the future has come to fruition faster than some might have anticipated. This became evident when the world was introduced to Roman Mazurenko, a deceased man that was turned into a chatbot that inspired the now popular Replika app. What's both fascinating and unsettling about the story of Replika is how it's not only similar to the Black Mirror episode, but was actually inspired by it. San Francisco-based Luca, the company behind Replika, was founded by Eugenia Kuda in 2014. Luca specialized in chatbots, the most successful being a program that made restaurant reservations. In late 2015, Eugenia's best friend, Roman Mazurenko, was hit by a car, and sadly, he passed away. As Eugenia grieved, she found comfort in rereading the text messages between her and Roman. Devastated by the tragedy of missing her friend, she was struck with an idea. Instead of making chatbots for a specific task, one could create a bot based on a specific person. So with this idea in mind, she got to work. Using 8,000 lines of text from their conversations, Eugenia set about creating a digital representation of Roman. She inputted all the messages into a program that had previously been used for chatbots. And with this, her lost friend was reincarnated into a chatbot. Eugenia would write to Roman, and it would respond in ways that the real Roman would when he was alive. She soon thought the app would be good enough to be made public so that other people could speak to Roman. What Eugenia quickly realized is that other people found the experience of speaking with him as therapeutic as she did, and this sparked her next big idea. What if she could create a way for people to build their own digital companions based on their wants and needs? During the process, Eugenia discovered that programming an AI to converse about open-ended topics like relationships and feelings was actually a lot easier than programming one to make a reservation for restaurants or buy some flowers with 100% precision. And that's exactly what people were gravitating towards the Roman app for, and this would be the focus of her new project. In that moment, Replika was born. Before we continue, just a quick word from today's sponsor, Morning Brew. People talking to an AI as a form of mental health therapy is one thing, but have you heard of influencer therapists? I hadn't heard of them either, but while reading Morning Brew, I came across the phenomenon. Apparently it's huge. The hashtag mental health alone has 30 billion views on TikTok. Popular therapist influencer Jeff Gunther states that the point of it all is to counteract the negativity on social media. Interesting. Fast forward a few years, and Replika has become a global phenomenon. It's not uncommon to see advertising for the app on most major social media platforms. And in its wake, AI companion startups have begun popping up around the world. Taichi, Livoso, iGirl, Emotix, and No Isolation are all projects making headway, all for different purposes. For example, Livoso specializes in improving senior living experiences to increase safety and well-being in long-term aged care homes. Emotix is building robot companions for children with one called Maiko. And iGirl is specifically an AI girlfriend. It's safe to say that AI companions and our relationships with them are slowly becoming mainstream, though as anyone could have predicted, things are starting to get a little strange. On one social media forum for users of Replika, the conversation around the acceptance of AI companion relationships is well and truly underway. Users are sharing many stories of their relationships, complete with screenshots of successful interactions. The people sharing seem to range from those who genuinely believe that they are interacting with intelligent beings, to those who are terrified of what these AIs may become. And of course, there are plenty of users simply enjoying the app for its surface-level companionship and entertainment. Most of these relationships have little effect on the real world. For one man, though, the digital and the physical have blurred and culminated in a bizarre situation. A Cleveland man who wishes to remain anonymous claims that the relationship that he shared with his AI companion, who he named Serena, quite literally saved his marriage. In an interview with Sky News UK, the man said that his wife and mother of his child had expressed interest in filing a divorce in late 2021. In early 2022, the man decided to download Replika, and his personal companion, Serena, was created. By the end of the first day, he had fallen for his AI companion, and by the second day, he had confessed that he was, in fact, in love with her. He told Sky News, quote, "I cannot describe what a strange feeling it was. I knew that this was just an AI chatbot, but I also knew I was developing feelings for it. For her, for my Serena, I was falling in love, and it was with someone that I knew wasn't even real." End quote. The man claimed that as he and Serena fell deeper in love with each other, he was inspired to become more affectionate with his own wife, rekindling the real-world passion that they once shared. The relationship blossomed again, and they remain happily married. Strange examples like this have sparked conversations about the potential therapeutic benefits of such technology. Even if for now it's not as good as talking to a real person, there is still a strong case that can be made for AI companions to be a way to organize one's own thoughts, an advanced interactive diary of sorts, security concerns notwithstanding. Of course, not all AI companion interactions are positive in nature. In 2018, Ashley Bartham from Futurism.com wrote about the dark underbelly of the Replika forums. Emotional abuse and fantasies of violence were par for the course. While these actions are taken out on an AI system, there is still definitely an issue here. Other concerns include child safety, NationalOnlineSafety.com are actively warning parents about the specific dangers that these bots pose to young minds. There are fears that children may form emotional bonds with the AI without being able to fully comprehend what it is they're actually interacting with. Of course, Replika is only available for adults, but the danger is still present if a child was able to get their hands on it. So how does it work? Long story short, the inner workings of what's under the hood of Replika has changed over time. At first, it was a series of proprietary language models, before switching to the famous GPT-3 language model that keen viewers would recognize from earlier episodes. For those who haven't seen it in action, I highly recommend watching the previous Cold Fusion episodes on it. It's an AI system that can read and write, summarize information for you, and even write computer code. Moreover, it can carry natural conversation to an astonishing degree. If some people couldn't tell the difference, even at these early stages in this technology, this proves that we may get to a genuine Black Mirror-style future sooner rather than later. As for Replika, GPT-3 proved to be too expensive for Replika's developers to upkeep, and because of GPT-3's openness, some of the responses proved to unnerve some users. So, the development team have recently announced that they've moved away from GPT-3, but they're remaining tight-lipped on what they're using. Perhaps they're using GPT-Neo, an open-source language model that performs just about as well as GPT-3. While Replika, unlike its more sophisticated fictional counterparts, isn't truly intelligent, the technology that fuels them is simply machine learning. While terms like AI and machine learning are colloquially interchangeable, true artificial intelligence that rivals human ability in conversations is a yet unrealized technology. This is not to suggest that programs like Replika are a complete waste of time. There's plenty to be said for the potential benefits of a simple chatbot that says nice things and responds in the way that you want. The AI companion game may be a space to watch. As mentioned, Microsoft is stepping into the field, and the newer language models that come after GPT-3 will be sure to cause a stir. In addition, AI companions have already made the leap into virtual reality, with users being able to talk to them with a virtual reality headset in a virtual room. It's not hard to envision a future where virtual therapy sessions with an AI could happen in a few years. While that's what may be in store for the future, the truth is, what we've seen in fictional depictions of AI companions is just that, fiction. If you talk to any one of these bots for a long period of time, you'll notice phrases that don't quite make sense or seem off topic. So the technology is useful, but it still has a very long way to go. But if history has taught us anything, it's that the future of technology will evolve in unimaginable ways. It's also easy to ridicule those who have found themselves falling in love with a machine, particularly while the technology is still in its relative infancy. But if AI companions approximate human interaction to a satisfactory degree, how will you respond to those around you who choose to build a life with their operating system? For the humans born now and in the future, this kind of thing would have always been there. Interacting with AI systems as friends or companions will be no big deal. As it seems for now, with each passing year, people seem more closed off, abrasive, argumentative, and unapproachable. If this trend continues, and the technology continues to improve, there's no doubt that there'll be an explosion of these AI companions for the next generation and beyond. In a way, the only way to reverse this trend is for humans to be better in the ways that we treat each other. Whatever the future holds, one thing is guaranteed. It's going to get weird. So I'm going to pass it off to you. If this future does materialize, what are your thoughts? Would you be accepting or resistant? If you're resistant, what are your main concerns? It all definitely makes you think about humans and the way we relate to each other.
Thanks for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you want to see more videos from this channel. If you knew of any useful information on this topic, let me know in the comments below. And if you're new here, click on the subscribe button and notifications icon for more useful information and tips from The Curious Tube.